Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are on Monday, April 8th. We're going to take a look at Tilray today. So with earnings coming up, I thought we'd come and see where it might hit some support or resistance, whether it booms, busts, or moves relatively sideways. Now, just to sort of recap as we're heading into earnings here, we have this pretty recent double bottom, I guess you could call it a triple bottom, that is shot up from and has risen from about 160 level or so, to where you find it now at one point approaching the $3 level pretty recently. So it has run up quite a bit into earnings. So that always brings a question to my mind of how much will folks feel that's good news or on par news is priced in versus, what the report actually says. Of course, it's mostly going to depend on what the report actually says, but sometimes there can be an odd reaction to the actual black and white numbers and letters on the report itself. So something to at least have in the back of your mind of how much this stock has run up recently. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to come down. It could have been running up for really good reasons, and people can use earnings as just another reason to keep pushing it higher, right? So it can certainly be a double-edged sword. Now, the nearest in level that I have is this 262.4. Fraction of pennies here, but if it can build some support on that, or if it may just fly right through it or jump it altogether if it's a big reaction to earnings. 274, 283, and then there's that dreaded 302 level that it recently pushed off of. It wasn't able to approach it, so we'll see if this gives it the gas to get there this time. And then I have 320 up here, and then I just put, in case things get sort of like really springy, 365 up here as well. Now, if it gets through that level, then we can come back and take another look if folks are interested. Now, if it has a negative reaction, comes down, 252, 246, a bunch of really tight end levels here, but you see how sticky this whole zone from about, say, 225 to 260 is a real sticky zones for it. So if it does move sort of sideways, I wouldn't be shocked to see it sort of, settle itself into somewhere in that range, but we'll see. But we have it charted all the way down here to the mid ones, 153. So plenty of levels on the chart, and I got rid of a bunch of them. Actually, that's where sort of some of these spaces come from, because there's just way too many levels on the chart. But we've just been tracking it through all of these, this sort of like roller coaster as of late, and it just means that we end up with a lot of levels on the chart, but it gets hard to look at after a while. So we'll see where it settles, and we can always kind of zone in on where it is after the dust settles. Now, on this setup, this recent push brought it up out of the channel. It's been riding this green wave cloud as support, as it's been, sort of wrestling with the upper bound of the channel, but certainly using this green wave cloud as support. So sometimes that can mean that there's additional bullish momentum that needs to be exhausted before it's going to pull back further into the channel. Obviously, a catalyst as big as earnings can throw any of these sort of like setups or patterns completely on their head, and so they could sort of be irrelevant really quickly. But ultimately, what we look to see is, is there additional bullish momentum that needs to be exhausted before this is going to pull more securely into the channel? And when it does pull into the channel, what does it do, especially with the mid-range of the channel? Right now, that mid-range is situated at 227, but this channel moves with the price action, so that will shift. If it goes higher, it'll drag it up higher. If it comes down and slips below it, it'll start to pull it down, so on and so forth. So just something that I like to keep an eye on. You see here, for example, when it was up out of the channel briefly, was using the wave cloud as support, but then it ultimately hit resistance at the upper bound of the channel, pulled back in, and came in here and tested the mid-range. And what do we see? It lost support of the mid-range and then confirmed resistance here, and that led to a pretty decent sell-off. Brought it from about, say, 207 down to about 160 or so. So percentage-wise, certainly a big swing. Now, obviously, the recent run-up has brought all those gains back. So, that's got to be making the bulls happy, and certainly continuing to play out this trigger and fire. That was a really good call in the TTM squeeze indicator, and not re-triggering yet, showing a little bit of a pullback or a plateau and a pullback of the bullish momentum on the histogram. So again, we'll see it certainly has capacity and has a history of throwing these hiccup candles on the histogram, so may not mean much of anything because, like I said, the catalyst is such a big one. All right, folks, I hope that your trading week is off to a good start, and as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.